Today we'll unpack what it means to think smart when learning English. We'll share actionable tips, discuss common pitfalls, and even have a little fun along the way.
Let's get started.
Then, let's kick things off by breaking down what we mean by thinking smart when it comes to learning English.
Sure, Sarah. Thinking smart is about being intentional and strategic. It means focusing your energy on the methods and areas that give you the best results. For instance, instead of trying to memorize the dictionary, focus on high-frequency words and phrases.
Exactly. And it's also about how you perceive the learning process. For example, instead of seeing mistakes as failures, view them as valuable learning opportunities.
Right. If you think about it, every mistake you make is a step closer to fluency because it highlights what you need to work on.
Absolutely. And thinking smart also involves being realistic about your goals. Instead of aiming for perfection, aim for progress.
That's such a good point. Let's remind our listeners, fluency doesn't mean knowing everything, it means being able to communicate effectively in most situations.
Okay, so let's talk about where to start. Then, if someone is just beginning their journey to fluency, what should they focus on first?
Great question. I'd say start with the basics, things like greetings, common phrases, and high-frequency words. These are the building blocks of everyday conversations.
Totally agree. And it's important to practice these phrases in context. For example, instead of just memorizing, "How are you?" try practicing a short dialogue. "How are you?" "I'm good, thanks." "How about you?"
Yes. Context is everything. It helps your brain make connections and retain information better.
And speaking of connections, don't underestimate the power of repetition. The more you hear and use a phrase, the more natural it will feel. Let's shift gears a bit and talk about confidence. Ben, why do you think confidence is so important when it comes to speaking fluently?
Confidence is huge because it affects how you come across to others. Even if your grammar isn't perfect, speaking with confidence makes you more understandable and engaging.
Absolutely. And confidence also helps you take more risks, like trying out new words or phrases, which is essential for growth.
Right. And here's a tip for building confidence: focus on what you can do, not what you can't. Celebrate small wins, like successfully ordering food in English or having a short conversation with a colleague.
I love that. And I'd add that practicing regularly, even in small ways, can help build confidence over time. Now let's get into some specific strategies. Ben, what's one smart approach you'd recommend for learning English?
One of my favorites is the 80-20 rule. Focus on the 20% of words and phrases that you'll use 80% of the time.
That's brilliant. For example, learning words like want, need, and go is much more practical than learning obscure vocabulary you might never use.
Exactly. Another smart strategy is to use technology. Apps, podcasts, like this one, and online courses make it easier than ever to practice on the go.
Yes, and let's not forget about practicing with a partner. Having someone to speak with can make a huge difference.
It really does. And if you don't have a partner, try recording yourself. It's a great way to track your progress and identify areas for improvement.
Then, we both know that learning English isn't always smooth sailing. What's one common challenge learners face, and how can they overcome it?
Fear of making mistakes is a big one. My advice? Embrace your mistakes. They're proof that you're trying and learning.
So true. And another challenge is staying motivated. One way to stay on track is to set small, achievable goals. For example, aim to learn 5 new words a day or have one short conversation in English each week.
Great tip, Sarah. And I'd add, don't compare yourself to others. Everyone's journey is unique, and what matters is your progress, not someone else's.
Okay, listeners, it's time for some interactive practice. Ben, shall we give them a mini dialogue to try out?
Let's do it. Here's a simple conversation. Hi, how are you? I'm good, thanks. And you? I'm doing well. What are you up to today?
Now, listeners, pause the episode and practice saying those lines out loud.
And if you want to take it a step further, try changing the context. For example, hi, how's your day going? Pretty good, thanks. What about yours?
Keep practicing dialogues like this, and you'll start to notice a big difference in your fluency. Before we wrap up, let's talk about thinking smart for the long haul. Ben, what's one piece of advice for staying on track with English learning?
Consistency is key. Even if you only practice for 10 minutes a day, that consistency will pay off over time.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to revisit things you've already learned. Reinforcement is just as important as learning new material.
And finally, remember to enjoy the process. The more fun you have, the more likely you are to stick with it.
Thanks for joining us today on Speak Smartly and Fluently. We hope you found this episode helpful and inspiring. Remember, thinking smart is all about working smarter, not harder, and focusing on what really matters in your English learning journey.
And don't forget, progress takes time. Celebrate your small wins and keep moving forward.
Thanks for listening today, and if you found the video helpful and that you're feeling more equipped to handle those funny idioms, please hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe to my channel so you never miss an episode and share it with others who might benefit. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, we'd love to hear from you, so your feedback is really important to us. Thanks for listening, and as always, happy learning. You're doing great. Bye, everyone.